So Alderik, maybe your insights from Liftinsight are also very important. What have you seen happening over the last couple of years?
I think most companies, most big elevator companies, they talk about IoT, digitalization, about circularity, and all these movements. But to go in that area, that's difficult. It's a transition. What I see at the moment is that the difficulty for most elevator companies that they are supplier of lift systems, and they are going to be a supplier of uptime, and that's another kind of service. So it's the same technology, but it's another approach, and it's difficult for elevator companies, but also for the customer to make that transition, because you buy something else. Physically, it's the same. It's the same installation, but the way you buy vertical mobility is something different than the way you buy a lift and a service contract. And what I see, that's the difficulty we face, that we have to make that transition.
Yeah, but I guess the elevator industry is the most innovative industry, so they really adapt to this change really fast, or not, Imro?
No, it's not. It's not fast.
Or is it not fast enough?
It's not fast enough for me. I see that we are maybe a little bit behind on other industries. There is of course something going on, and that is that we get more data. And the first thing that companies do is looking at what they can do with it themselves. So they're looking at maintenance, they're looking at uptimes and things like that, and a service, what they are usually giving. What I'm missing is what can the customer do with it, and what can they provide to this customer. And this is something that is going on, and it's everybody's trying to do it, but it's difficult to give something that your customer needs.
And what do you think is that is it that we really need to give to that customer?
I think there of course, if you look into a building, it's a whole structure of processes going on, and we as the lift companies, we providing the transport from one level to the other, which is important. It's like the highway on in the building.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you can provide more to all the other processes like the reachable of offices, for example. So if you need to reach an office and you have a full office with a lot of people, you need to make this communicate with each other. So the agendas of the offices and the level of capacity of your installations, it must get together.
Yeah, what I see is that the system we make money in the elevator industry is something different than the building owner makes money. And if you supply uptime, and when the owner of a building pays for uptime, then we have the same goal. And at this moment, the goal for an elevator company is to sell a lift and to sell a less or more expensive service contract.
Yeah.
And when the elevator is broken, that's a business
model.
That's a business model for the elevator company, and it's not good for the building owner. And if you buy uptime and you pay for uptime, then we have the same goal. And I think in what we see, what Mitsubishi is doing is supplying a lift, supplying uptime, be the owner of the elevator. And I think that's a good idea, because they know which components are in it and when they have to exchange that components based on the data. And we are partner of Mitsubishi to gather that data and to make the models that we can know which component do we have to replace on which time, so that there is an optimum in that because the life cycle of the component, and the other thing is what are the financials on that. And if the uptime is high and the costs are low, then Mitsubishi can supply a higher uptime to the end user, and I think that's how it works. And what I see is that building owners, but also building companies, they ask, "Can you supply me a lift?" And I think that's not
that's the wrong question.
That's not a good question. You have to ask, "Can you deliver me uptime?" And what's the price of, let's say, one ride? And what's the price of a ride, so that you know that you can compare the competitors?
Yeah.
And what's the price of a lift is not a good question.
Ronald, do you see this question being changed? Do you see different kind of questions being asked?
Yeah, partly. Not for all kind of parties in the market, because it's very conservative. But I agree on both. I agree on Alderik, but I also agree on Imro. The first step that you can do is implement data in your product, and you can make a better service product line, and you can realize this uptime discussion. But furthermore, you have to implement this data towards other kind of installations in the building to make it a real smart building. It's no sense that you all go at 5 o'clock, go downwards in an office. The lifts can bring you to ground floor, then you get a car, and then you are going into a traffic jam on the A10 highway. So you have to connect the installation towards the building to make it a better living environment for all people involved.
Yeah.
But the first step that we can do, and that's in our range, in our reach at this moment, is to implement these kind of data in our product line and implement it in our service to go to vertical movement instead of selling an elevator against lowest cost and the highest replacement rate.
So what you really want to do is to connect vertical movement with horizontal movement.
I think we have to connect to the environment in total, yeah.
Yeah.
We have in fact to make a smarter building. It's exactly what Ronald is saying. And for this, we need to provide data to other suppliers in the building. So
yeah.
What we see at the moment is that everybody thinks that data is gold and keeps it for themselves. But what we need to do to make the more smarter building is giving this data away to other suppliers of other services.
Yeah, so we need to share data. Share data is gold.
I think that this will give us more smart buildings. If we share data together and mix it, combine it, that's the main goal, I think.
That's the discussion that we try to mention in the presentation, to be sure that you have the same kind of platform, that you can communicate in the same kind of language, and be open in it. It's not your data. It's not only your opportunity to get the best of it. No, it's the opportunity for all.
Yeah.
Benefit from it.
To connect with each other and to get insights and to get insights on data, but also to connect with different kind of parts within that building to really create that smart building solution altogether.
Yeah, I think that is the main goal for.
And then hopefully,
for example, if you share your GPS data with Google, that has nothing to do. That has no value. But if everybody does it, Google can make traffic jam information for that, and that's what you get back, and that has value for me.
Yeah.
So the idea is, if we share data with others, we get value back, and I think that's the transition we have to make in the future, and it's difficult for many companies because they think this is our data and it's our gold, so we do not share this because this has value for us. But if we really want to have smart cities, then we have to share all these data on platforms so that if you are in the office and you want to go home, you say to your computer, I want to go home, and that your computer can calculate based on the traffic jam, based on how many people are using the lift, and so on, what's the best time to go from the office to your home.
Yeah, you have 5 more minutes and then it's the best time to go.
Exactly.
If everybody wants to have lunch at the same time, then we have traffic jam at the elevator. So if I want to have lunch between, let's say, 1 or 2 o'clock, then I can say to my computer, I want to have lunch. And when do I go to the restaurant? Then the computer can calculate it. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, guys, on this panel about the future of vertical mobility.